Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to tackle one of the biggest questions out there. What is heaven? But maybe not in the way you're thinking. In fact, you might want to forget everything you think you know. So let's just jump right in with a question that kind of turns everything on its head. What if heaven isn't some destination you go to after you die? What if it's actually a journey, a path you can walk right here, right now? Well, that's the core idea from the book Designing Heavens. It's pretty radical, actually. The book suggests that for thousands of years, all these spiritual traditions, they weren't talking about a final destination at all. Nope, they were drawing a map, a detailed roadmap for an inner journey and evolution of the soul that you can start today. Okay, to really get our heads around this, there's a term we need to know: spiritual cosmologies. And look, this isn't about myths or fairy tales, far from it. Think of these as incredibly detailed, structured models of reality. And what's wild is that they pop up over and over again in totally different cultures, all mapping the exact same thing: the soul's journey upward. And this quote really nails it. It says these heavenly realms aren't just abstract ideas. They're described as actual layers or dimensions of reality. And here's the kicker: each layer lines up perfectly with a different, more subtle state of consciousness. So the map of heaven is really a map of you. This is where things get really interesting. Because when you take all these ancient maps from different religions and you lay them out next to each other, you start to see the same patterns, a shared architecture, you could call it. You'll always see these multiple levels rising up. You hear about spiritual beings, angels or guides who help you along the way. And the big one, you always see this idea of a journey, an ascent, a path that goes both upward and inward. All right, so let's start walking this path. The first major stop on pretty much all of these maps, it's what we can call the intermediary heavens. You can think of them as these sacred gateways or thresholds. Imagine them like the most incredible, beautiful layover you could ever have on a trip. These are places of just pure bliss and beauty. They're often seen as a reward for a good life. But, and this is key, they're not the final destination. They're more like a sacred pit stop, a place for the soul to catch its breath, to learn, and to get ready for what comes next. And you can see just how similar they are across the board. I mean, look at this. You've got the Hindus' Farloka, which is a realm of refined pleasure. Then you have the Christian third heaven, a place of paradise, or the Buddhist Deva realms. Different names, different traditions, but the core idea, exactly the same. Beautiful, blissful, but temporary. Okay, so if these amazing places are just the layover, what's the final destination? What's beyond them? Well, that's when the map takes us to what are called the higher planes. This is the real goal of the whole journey. And you can see there's a massive shift here. We're moving away from realms that still have form and beauty and into realms of pure formlessness and truth itself. We're going from a place of reward where your individual self, your ego, still kind of exists to a timeless place where that sense of I just dissolves into total unity. Just listen to how these different traditions describe these highest planes. Hinduism calls it Satyaloka, the realm of absolute truth. In Christianity, it's the seventh heaven, where you experience God's direct presence. In Kabbalah, it's Atzluth, a world of pure divine light where there's no separation. Do you see the pattern? It's all about formlessness, unity, and becoming one with the source of everything. So let's zoom out and put all the pieces together. When you look at the whole picture, what emerges from all these different maps isn't a bunch of different stories. It's one universal journey. It's the story of the soul's evolution. You can really boil this whole cosmic trip down to three main stages. Step one is here, the earthly realm. This is the starting line, where we learn through experience. Step two is the intermediary heavens, those thresholds we talked about, for purification and rest. And step three, the finale, is reaching the higher planes, where it all comes together in formless, divine union. And this is the big takeaway, the whole point. The design of the heavens isn't really about describing someplace out there in the cosmos. It's a blueprint for what's in here. It's a map of our own consciousness, of our soul's ultimate potential. It's the story of a journey from feeling separate to becoming whole again, which leaves us with one last thing to think about. If all these different maps from all these different times and places all point to the exact same destination, this ultimate state of unity, then what does that say about the territory that's already waiting right now inside every single one of us?